Make a point of order. Am I recognized, sir?
Yes. Identify yourself and presbytery.
I am T.E. Jeff Jeremiah. I have been a member of the EPC for 37 years, serving as its stated clerk for 15 years. Yesterday, sorry, I've got, this is 2 minutes and 48 seconds. I have been a member, yesterday this assembly, at the urging of platform leadership, took an unprecedented action in the 44-year history of our church. We, the assembly, violated our own Constitution. Again, we, the assembly, violated our own Constitution. In addressing the point of order challenging the Permanent Judicial Commission's handling of the New River Overture in Recommendation 4436, the authority cited that justified that handling was Rules for Assembly 9.1, which says, all business shall ordinarily come to the floor of the Assembly for final action through standing committees. Rules for Assembly is not a part of the Constitution of the EPC. The Book of Government is a part of our Constitution. In handling overtures that propose an amendment to the Constitution, Book of Government 21-3D2A says, the stated clerk shall refer all such proposed amendments to the Permanent Judicial Commission, which shall examine the proposed amendment for clarity and consistency of language and for compatibility with the other provisions of the Constitution of the EPC. This citation, which has constitutional authority, was ignored. Instead, Rules of Assembly 9.1, which is not constitutional, was cited, effectively superseding and violating the Book of Government. This assembly violated our Constitution. I ask that this point of order be sustained by you, Mr. Moderator. If it is, I am prepared to offer a remedy.
Thank you for your point. It is not sustained.
Excuse me?
Thank you for your point. I do not sustain it.
I would like to appeal to the Assembly to not approve the ruling of the moderator.
So what we have is a challenge to the authority of the chair. It's not debatable. We will have a vote to sustain my decision and go on and do business, or to overturn my decision. Do you understand what we're about to vote on?
No. And if I could, Jeff, if you'd be okay with me, do you feel comfortable with me responding at all? If not, I don't have to.
Only if I have the ability to respond.
Sure, I'm happy for that. Mr. Moderator, is that okay?
Please.
Okay, so the question was raised yesterday around a constitutional question of the PJC's actions regarding the overture from New River Presbytery. And the PJC, and we can ask, is Forrest Norman in the House? Forrest, why don't you come on down just in case there are questions that need to be asked. Constitutionally, 21-3D-2A mandates that the Permanent Judicial Commission conduct what we call a 3C analysis. It deals with the question of clarity, consistency, and compatibility with the Constitution, if something is compatible to that. And when the PJC met to look at that recommendation, they did their 3C analysis. What they did not do is in their findings, they did not in their findings include their 3C analysis. And I would suggest that in letter B of 21-3D2, letter B, it says this: the Permanent Judicial Commission shall report its findings. That's a mandatory language. It absolutely shall report their findings. But then it gives you this language: may include. And then it gives a list of the things that in their findings they may include. And so they could include the 3C analysis at that point. but the Constitution doesn't mandate that they must include the 3C analysis. That is my sense as the stated clerk. That was the PJC sense as they deliberated their actions, and Forrest could correct me if I'm wrong, and that's something, Jeff, you and I could probably agree to disagree on.
We have just made adherence to the Constitution of the EPC a non-essential. We can agree to disagree on that. There is no the Constitution says that bodies may only do what is explicitly stated in the Constitution. Book of Government 3:1. The PJC, nowhere in the Constitution, has the authority or the responsibility to not do the 3 Cs, for which there is none evident in the report of 4436. And instead, it took upon itself a responsibility which it simply does not have. I speak to 15 years of serving as stated clerk, working closely with 15 years Permanent Judicial Commission. I would plea for anyone who has served across that time to affirm what we just heard.
We have actually violated procedure by allowing these two gentlemen to have differing statements, because challenging the decision of the chair or the moderator is not discussable, it's not debatable. And I would ask that the assembly go back to that, vote on it, and we can hash these things out in another way. Decision.
Who did that, Mr. Parliamentarian?
Who did what?
Who violated?
Both of you, actually.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yes, because when one violated it, we allowed you to have a rebuttal.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, so what we will do is abide by the body that's gathered here, and the vote is before you. Are we going to proceed with this docket? Are we going to take a diversion from that? So you are voting. You're voting on, do you sustain the chair's rule that we go ahead, or do you overturn our rule? Does everybody understand that? It appears to me that sustain won. I hear a call for a division. We need some counters. Okay, the chair is not sustained, so we will refer this matter to the Permanent Judicial Committee to reconsider. Jeff, I would invite you to attend that. It'll go back to the PJC.
I would like to propose a motion, Mr. Moderator, that I think remedies this issue, that I believe will receive the full support of the Assembly. I move that the 44th General Assembly remove Recommendation 4436 from consideration, and that the Permanent Judicial Commission convene to rule on the constitutionality of Recommendation 4437 in accordance with Book of Government 21-3D 2A and B, and file its report to the Office of the General Assembly by 11 a.m. on Thursday, June the 20th. Mr. Moderator, I believe you received this by email. With a second, I would like to speak very briefly to the motion. Given the defective authority upon which it was based, the best way to address Recommendation 4436 is to simply make it go away. This motion does that. By convening and ruling on the constitutionality of Recommendation 4437, the Permanent Judicial Commission fulfills its constitutional responsibility. of doing the 3C test: clarity, compatibility, consistency with the Constitution, and in reporting it to the Office of the General Assembly.
Thank you.
The Permanent Judicial Commission, after making a ruling on the 3 Cs, then recommends to the Assembly either approval or disapproval. The stated clerk, it may also recommend, having done the 3 Cs analysis, to recommend that it be sent to a standing committee.
Listen,
By recommending that it go to a permanent committee, it prevented this Assembly from acting on an overture that had been timely and properly filed in time for consideration by this Assembly. The best way to deal with this is to simply make 4436 go away. That's what the motion says.
Okay, it's up on the screen. Can you see that? I'll give you a minute to read it. Do you approve this motion? Say yay. If you're opposed, like sign. It passes.
Thank you very much for your consideration, Mr. Moderator.